Yes, people, and welcome back to a new episode of Punches and Pundits. Now, before we start, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. And if you're listening on any sort of audio platform, Spotify and Apple Podcasts, make sure to download the episode. And all the clips from this episode will be found on our TikTok account at Punches and Pundits and our Instagram account. So make sure to go follow that. Now, a couple hours ago, we had UFC 310. I was hyped for this card, and there's only one place to start with a main event. Now, in the preview last week, I was very much of the case of Pantoja doesn't get the respect that he deserves. Pantoja is this, Pantoja is that. He's entertaining. And yesterday, he further proved this. Literally, even in the striking department, right? Even in the striking department, he was landing on Asakura, which was the main part of, Asakura coming from Ryzen, elite striker, got power in his hands, and Pantoja was marching forward, as we said he does. Didn't take a back step. And it wasn't just the grappling, which obviously he got the finish with. In the striking exchanges, he was landed just as much as Asakura. Obviously, the flying knees from Asakura, always dangerous, bro. Like, you're a millisecond from being knocked out. But Pantoja, for me, I mean, that was a vintage performance. Within 10 minutes, subbed him. And, I loved this call-out. I loved it. I loved it.
The fight's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen,
but...
but...
wrote off straight away. He went on
he did
social
write
media.
off.
He said, I've been offered millions already to come back. He just doesn't have the interest in fighting anymore. But it's another fight prediction that I've got wrong. I shouldn't have picked against Pantoja. I can't lie. That was pretty... I haven't really seen much of Asakura before the fight. I didn't really see much. I'm watching it. I think he'll do well in that division. But yeah, Pantoja's just on a different level. You're right. He's probably one of the most disrespected fighters on the roster. And if he keeps on winning and keeps on winning and keeps on winning, then he's going to run out of opponents. He's going to either have to go up in weight or they're going to have to bring in other contenders. Dana was talking about how he's interested in working with Ryzen, bringing in more of their champions, just to beefing up that flyweight division because he's...
But they were talking about atom weight.
Yeah, no, but atom weight is
for women. But they're talking about with Ryzen.
Yeah, but in terms of flyweight, they need to really beefing up the flyweight division.
When you thought about it, everyone thought, okay, who's going to be that next guy? Mokaev was sort of predestined to be that guy. Obviously, it hasn't worked out. Manel Cap,
I'm pretty sure Manel Cap has a win over Asakura as well. I saw a clip. I think it was him, yeah. So it was interesting.
Kai Kara France, always dangerous and whatnot, but there's not a flyweight on the planet that I would put ahead of Pantoja right now. And even in the pound for pound rankings, like Gilbert Burns tweeted, he has to be in a conversation for top 5 now.
Oh, 100%. How many defenses is it now? 4 or 5?
4, I think. Yeah, no,
he has to be in there. But listen, Pantoja did what everybody expected him to do. I was probably the only person that thought Asakura has a chance.
I just thought when he got to the grappling...
Yeah, but even on the feet, he looked good. His pressure, those teep kicks, those oblique kicks. He was landing some nice kicks to Asakura's knee.
He's complete.
Kind of forcing him to think before he steps in range. So it was a very, very good performance. But moving on to the co-main, which I said would be the people's main event. It was a good win for Shavkat.
I've got a lot to say on this, so I'm going to let you land first.
Yeah, but the issue for me is, was that really a performance from Shavkat where we think he absolutely mauls Bilal Muhammad? If anything, I think his stocks were affected a little bit. Now, this could be because Ian Garry's a top fighter. We may be underestimating Ian Garry. He may have performed because he's an elite fighter. This is the first time he's had that big step in competition. And listen, he passed a lot of tests last night or early this morning. But Shavkat, for me, didn't really look great. I have to be honest. And I'm a big Shavkat fan. I'm the biggest Shavkat fan you'll see. But I have to be honest. He didn't really land much on the feet. In terms of, he was stalling a lot as well, especially those early rounds where he'd get him against the fence. Wasn't really going for any doubles, any singles. Was trying to trip him, but that's not going to work against Ian Garry. Later on in the fight, he did get more takedowns. He went for the double legs, the single legs. He had more success. But even Ian Garry had some success later on in the round, in the fight. That fourth round, the fifth round, I think, where he nearly submitted him. He had his back and the choke was nearly in. So yeah, it was a clear 3 rounds to 2. You could argue maybe 4-1, but for me it was a 3-2. But yeah, I'm not looking at the fight between him and Bilal thinking Shavkat destroys Bilal. If anything, I think Bilal would look at that fight and be confident.
Yeah. Where do I start with this? I mean, I think with the narrative with Shavkat, we've all, like you said, he's the boogeyman. He's this guy. He's untouchable. And I do feel like his record, you know, always finishing his fights and whatnot. But in a fight, for example, against Jeff Neal, where he got the finish, he got touched on the feet. There's been little instances where like you're like, he's not quite like untouchable, right? And Ian Garry throughout fight week was like, I'm gonna be the one to prove that this guy can be beat. I'm gonna take his O. Now he wasn't quite able to do this, but when Ian Garry looks back at his fight, the first 2 rounds, it was an exchange, literally an exchange that won it for Shavkat. Tweak here, tweak there. I'm telling you, if Ian Garry fought Shavkat 10 times, right? There's Shavkat that fought yesterday. Ian Garry's winning a few. He's winning at least 3 or 4, if not 5 each. Like, it was very evenly matched. And when you actually look at it, right? Ian Garry ate a monster punch early on from Shavkat. Didn't even budge too much. But the scariest moment of this fight, who was it for? It was for Ian Garry. I thought he had the choke cinched in. I thought that was it. I thought Ian Garry was about to submit Shavkat Rakhmonov, which is wild to think prior to that fight. He had Charles Oliveira in his corner, probably working on his jiu-jitsu as well. And Ian Garry's takedown defense, I know that Shavkat was a lot of his takedown offense, especially in the early rounds, was against the cage, trying to get the takedown against the cage. Ian Garry's a very, 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 very hard man to take down against the cage. Obviously, Shavkat, he went for a beautiful takedown. I think it was either round 3 or round 4. And he should have went down that route much earlier. But this proves a couple things. It proves that Shavkat is definitely beatable. And when you look at someone like Bilal, and people might not want to hear this because Shavkat's this mythical fighter from Kazakhstan and, you know, he doesn't speak English and it's just like the nomad. But Bilal Muhammad, he can beat him. This is factual. Like, and if anything, if the odds came out, obviously undefeated and whatnot, maybe they'll favor Shavkat. But I think Bilal's got a real shot of taking Shavkat's O.
But you could flip this as well. You could flip it and say Shavkat wasn't at his best, but he still won. Now, we can both agree it was a clear win. It's not a fight where there was a controversy. There was a few fights where there was a bit of controversy. We'll get to those fights. But for me, it was still a clear Shavkat win. But by his standards, it wasn't the best performance. You could argue that, you could suggest that Shavkat might look at this fight with a chip on his shoulder. He might be a bit annoyed at himself. He may listen to the criticism, and he may go into that Bilal fight with some fire and perform against Bilal the way he should have against Ian Garry. We may see the best version of Shavkat against Bilal Muhammad. Now, Bilal poses different threats to Ian Garry. The striking threat isn't really there, but it's a pressure threat. Now, with Ian Garry, you could clearly see he was trying to keep at range, chopping away at the lead leg. He was trying to keep Shavkat off him, which was working early on. Shavkat just landed some power punches that nicked him the round, as you said. But with Bilal, he's not really going to go for those power punches. There's more pressure, and that kind of suits Shavkat. Shavkat would love a guy to be in his face. That's Shavkat's world. I don't really see Bilal ragdolling him the way he ragdolled Leon Edwards. So I'd still say Shavkat would go in as my favourite, not maybe the bookie's favourite. But for me, I'd still say Shavkat would be the favourite for me. Yeah. But Bilal would definitely go into that fight with a lot more confidence. And he's got footage as well.
I think after watching 25 minutes of that, Ian Garry's style for Shavkat is a very difficult style to manage, to be honest. Like you said, Bilal's not going to be able to touch him too much on the hands, and it's going to be about pace, and the wrestling exchanges are going to be high level. But like I said, it's not just the next matchup. It's not Bilal. It's the rest of the top contenders at welterweight looking at Shavkat saying,
if Leon can get a win, if Leon can get a win in his next fight,
if Leon can get a win,
and he's on form, that may be a tough fight for Shavkat. Yeah, a young wonder boy. There's a few strikers coming through.
Carlos Prates.
Yeah, Prates is still a bit raw.
But he can look at that and be like, I can touch Shavkat.
Yeah. But then Pratis is grappling. Have you seen much of his grappling?
Well, Magny was trying to hug him in the last fight. Wasn't able to take him down.
Yeah.
But obviously, that would be the big question mark.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, Ian Garry was tentative in the first 2 rounds, and that's cost him the fight. Literally, it's not Shavkat came in, ragdolled him the first 2 rounds, and then he had to rally.
Shavkat was a bit gun shy. Is it just
Yeah.
It was a bit gun shy. He was landing the odd right hand, but you didn't really see him mix it up. It wasn't.
I think he
classic
respected
Shavkat.
Ian Garry.
And that's because of Ian Garry as well. We can't just say Shavkat wasn't amazing. Ian Garry forced him to not be amazing. Now, Ian Garry was a bit, was going through the motions a bit. He should have probably.
But he had the most important. He had the most important
rounds, though. That's where he kind of.
But he'll learn from that. And for me, after watching that yesterday, Ian Garry will 100% challenge for the welterweight title at some point in his career. And who does he fight next? That's a real interesting situation, because obviously there's people saying Ian Garry against Leon Edwards in London. I don't know if that's a.
That's a quick turnaround.
It's a quick turnaround.
And it was a bit of a back and forth. It was a bit of a war. Let's be honest. His face looked a bit beat up.
A lot of grappling.
Yeah, I doubt we'll see him that soon. But I mean, what about the winner of Colby Buckley? Why not?
Especially if it's Colby.
Exactly.
Bilal's even if it's Buckley.
Fight Shavkat. I mean, he will fight Shavkat. Probably International Fight Week. We're looking at probably June, July time. So if Buckley or Colby, whoever wins, wants to keep active.
I mean, there's lots of
right
matchups that need to be made in the welterweight division. Like, if I'm Hunter Campbell and Dana White, it might take a whole meeting itself to plan the welterweight division, because obviously you got the title fight ready made, but you have someone like Ian Garry who was ranked 7. Ian Garry is a top 5 welterweight, right? So I don't want to see him fight backwards too much. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
You could say he's top 3. I mean,
you could say he's top 3.
I mean, you could say after Shavkat, Ian Garry might be the best welterweight in the world.
Yeah, I mean, Ian Garry.
That's not a big shout. Bilal, Shavkat, and Ian Garry.
I mean, if Ian Garry fought Jack Della Maddalena tomorrow, who would win that? If Ian Garry fought Usman.
Kamaru, it's what Kamaru Usman shows up. If a prime Kamaru Usman shows up.
Yeah, but we don't know if his prime is.
Yeah.
So
it just depends what Usman shows up in it. We haven't seen Usman at welterweight in how long?
Yeah, for a while.
His last fight was at middleweight. People forget that.
Yeah, so
I mean, it's interesting. But another fight on the card, for me, a disgrace.
Robbery.
A disgrace of a decision. Volkov versus Cyril Gane. Now, before I go into the decision, fair play to Gane, because he did show a big improvement in his grappling. Even though he did get taken down, he wasn't just lying there. He did get back up. He showed good defense. Even at the end, when Volkov had him in an awkward position, he was still showing good defense. I think it was a case where he kind of ran out of time. But for me, it was a clear Volkov win. Yeah. It was a clear Volkov win.
2 rounds to 1.
And you could even see Gane's body language at the end.
He wanted to leave the cage. It's wild.
For me, these kind of decisions are not a joke, especially with a guy like Volkov who's got aspirations to.
I mean, Volkov's getting on.
Exactly.
Like
he's coming off a win against Pavlovich. Another win against Cyril Gane. You're saying, okay, he's next for the belt. He's next
after the Jones.
After Jones Aspinall, he's next. But now he's been robbed of that. Now what? Cyril Gane. I don't know what they do. A trilogy.
I mean, after watching yesterday, if Aspinall and Cyril Gane got in the cage together, I would. Do you know what it was?
He did a lot better, Cyril Gane.
Yeah.
And even though he lost, that's not me criticizing his performance. I just invoke of them.
Well, do you know? No, I will criticize the part that I didn't think I was going to criticize, in a sense where, in the wrestling, even though obviously Volkov is not John Jones, he's made massive improvements, managed to get back up on his feet. But in the striking exchanges, Volkov was getting the better in a lot of the striking exchanges. When you said, for example, in a preview, if it's a technical battle, you do expect Cyril Gane to pick him apart with the kicks and stay in that range. That shows the improvement that Volkov's had in his hands, especially. But I mean, Cyril Gane, it's a weird situation that heavyweight is at, because obviously you said, we're not really going to see his wrestling. We saw a bit of his wrestling.
Listen,
but the win doesn't do much for him, because, I mean, is there hype? Is there hype for? Is he going to have to fight again? There's no way.
I think he has to, because of the controversy.
Yeah.
If Volkov had have won, then Volkov probably wouldn't have to fight.
Do you think they could rematch it?
Trilogy. Volkov Gane.
Yeah.
I mean,
main event.
I doubt we'll see a trilogy. You know, unless they've got a big rivalry. We don't really
2
see
against
trilogies.
3, 2 and 3 in the rankings. Who else? If
But you never know with Dana. To be honest, I haven't.
Dana said
I haven't watched the
Volkov won.
post-fight. Yeah, but I haven't watched the post-fight.
Press conference.
Was Dana keen on making a trilogy?
Nah, no one asked him that question, but I'm saying he went up to Volkov and said, "You won that fight."
Yeah, it was clear. It was clear he won. And Volkov, you're right, looked very good on the feet. Looked powerful. Was landing nice, nasty kicks against a guy who's a very, very good striker. And for him to do that, I mean, it's interesting. I'd like to see Volkov in the ring, in the cage with a guy like Jones. Jones is what, 6'4". Volkov has the reach, the range, the striking. You know, it's interesting, but disappointing for Volkov. But this is happening way too much in the UFC, in MMA. It's far too common. And the thing is, these judges, they've got no accountability. They'll ruin a fighter's life, and nothing will happen to them. We don't even know their names. Nothing gets released. You know, there's no.
Well, it's very rare that
there's no fines. There's nothing.
No. Do you remember when the judge got taken off like mid-event because it was so bad? But that's an extreme case. That's an extreme case. But like I said, in the heavyweight division, I don't know where this I don't know where it's gonna end up. Yeah. This is like last chance saloon for him. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I just feel sorry for him. You know, I feel bad for the guy. You know, he's travelled all this way, performed, done very well against a guy who he's lost to.
Won 4 in a row.
Exactly. I mean, I just feel bad for the guy. Innit? I can't really say too much.
What about his trim? He was looking at Paddy Pimblett, like heavyweight Paddy Pimblett.
He didn't get the Paddy luck. You know, Paddy's always getting decisions.
Sometimes, yeah.
Get it, so, disappointing.
But like I said, I don't think Cyril Gane will have the ability to wait out. So who does he fight next? Because we don't know if Jones and I'm leaning towards it happening now, the Jones Aspinall fight. But then a camp for that fight, the fight happening, and then if there's injuries and whatnot, you're gonna have to fight in between. So Cyril Gane's probably gonna have to fight again. And there's no better opponent for him than Volkov again, especially when a lot of people are saying that he's lost.
You could do other fights. There's other contenders maybe, but you're right. The only fight
Almeida lost against Blades.
There's Oldberg that's available. That's kind of kicking on.
Oldberg?
Yeah.
That's 205.
I know Oldberg. What am I talking about?
Heavyweight. There's not much.
I mix it up with lightweight, but heavyweight, there's no real options at heavyweight. You're right. No real options.
That's why if the
UFC...
UFC...
Jairzinho, Rosenstrike, but they fought probably...
But Volkov just knocked them out.
They've all fought each other, so there's no real...
Yeah, we need a heavyweight to come through and just like be like a Thanos and challenge the little committee at the top, the John Jones and the Aspinalls and all of that. Because I thought Cyril Gane against Aspinall would be like a massive fight, but it's lost stock. It's definitely lost stock considering the majority of people thought that he lost. Continuing on the card,
like heavyweight bout, interesting bout. Anthony Smith.
Well, there was Bryce. Bryce Mitchell.
Oh yes, Bryce Mitchell and
Gracie.
Bryce Mitchell versus Gracie. Another prediction I got wrong. Yep. To be honest, it was.
Were you being serious with that prediction?
No, I was, but I thought. To be fair, Crone did do a bit better, even though he got finished. He was a more offensive. But with Crone, what I don't get is, why is he so passive off his back? He's got some good jiu-jitsu.
Oh, he nearly got him in the armbar, though.
But that was a case where he just, he got a bit lucky there. But he's not. You see other guys here. Look at Charles.
Like Lopez.
You look at Charles. You look at
Lopez.
Look at Verdum. I'm talking about the guys with all the submission wins in the UFC. Yeah, these guys were not passive. They get you in their guard. Straight away, they're going for a heel hook. They're going for a leg lock.
They're going for any sort of limb.
You remember Diaz, even Nate Diaz when he had the rubber guard. They're always
Lopez against Evloev.
Yeah, they're always throwing things.
Mad.
Just to throw you off. Just to, they'll go for a leg lock, take your back. He's just lying there. He's just lying there, just taking a beating. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Does he not? Is he not confident? I don't.
Do you know what? Do you know?
It was a shocking performance. And Bryce finished him off, and that's probably the last time we'll ever see him in the UFC.
Yeah. Do you know what? I put Cron Gracie in the same category as like do you remember Bryce Hall or not Bryce Hall. Ryan, was it Ryan Hall, the guy
Ryan
who
Hall,
fought
but
Topuria?
Ryan Hall's class though. Ryan Hall did not have Ryan Hall before he got finished by Topuria. That guy was not passive.
I know,
That
but
guy,
I'm saying
that
towards
guy
the
was
I'm saying towards the end where it's like
he come up against
just
Topuria,
or the guy that fought Dan Hooker, Puelles, where it's like they don't even want to exchange. They want to.
Krone's worse though. Krone won't even exchange on the mats. He just lies there. He just lies there and he's happy to be on his back. Ryan Hall, who you just mentioned, okay, he got knocked out by Topuria, but that guy had a vicious guard, and his leg lock game was different gravy. Krone Gracie has the same leg lock game, but he doesn't want to throw leg locks. He doesn't want to throw heel hooks. I don't know what he wants to throw.
I mean, like I said, he nearly got the armbar. Even Bryce Mitchell said that was it was a bit mad.
Yeah, but still, when he pulled guard the next round,
yeah, he like
at least pull guard and wrap around his leg or something.
But the way Bryce Mitchell like put his elbow like across his neck, dumped him, he was already shaken up.
Yeah,
and then those two elbows.
They mentioned in the commentary that the dump probably rocked him a bit. The elbows just finished the job off. But disappointing from Krone, and like I said, I haven't heard what Dana had to say post fight.
He said he put Lionheart Smith, he put Chris Weidman, he put Gracie all in the same category. Like, it's time to retire. They're not gonna get another fight off us. So, but you got to think as well. Yeah. Last time Bryce Mitchell was in the octagon, he nearly died. Yeah. So, you know, I'm not
it's not even funny, but
no, it's not even funny. But Josh Emmett dropped the warhead on his dome, and like.
To come back, he looks alright. But
you got cobwebs. I'm sorry. After getting knocked out that badly, you got cobwebs.
But we still don't know what his chin's like because Krone didn't throw a punch.
Yeah, I mean, if Bryce Mitchell comes up,
we need to see someone. We need to see him up against a guy that can crack a bit, that will actually throw a punch, just to see if his punch resistance is still there.
I mean, Josh Emmett hits. We've said this a billion times, but Josh Emmett will knock out any featherweight on the planet. Yeah. So it's like. Is it his chin or is it just like it was the perfect shot?
Yeah, but still, that kind of knockout can take
convulsing
years away from your
career. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Anthony Smith, you just mentioned him. Yeah, definitely time for him to retire. You know, of course, he was coming into the fight with a lot on his mind. But I didn't really like how the commentary was kind of overdoing it a bit. They were like, "Oh, you shouldn't be fighting." I think regardless, even if obviously,
he said he shouldn't have. He probably shouldn't have.
No, but even.
Yeah, his time's passed.
Yeah, even if like his coach was still around, he still would have lost. Like, let's be real. Let's not act like Anthony Smith is some phenom.
No, yeah, at his best, he was very good.
Yeah, but I know, but at his best, he was alright. But let's be real in it.
At his best, could he have beat?
No, the stage he is right now, he would have lost.
Yeah.
So I mean, his performance wasn't great. You know,
but I mean, crying going into the octagon is always like. I've seen Charles cry before.
No, this wasn't normal.
The Dariush fight.
He was like proper in tears.
Yeah. You got to think. You got to put it in perspective. Like that's been his best friend, corner man for the best part of his career. He's died unexpectedly.
You could say 2 reasons for him to retire. Obviously, he says that he doesn't really see himself fighting without his coach, which is understandable. But also competitively,
he's just not at the races.
He's not at the races. What is it? How many losses in a row now?
It was weird because he was going on a skid and then he beat Petrino in Brazil.
Yeah, but then it's like, how many wins out of 5 would you say? Definitely got more losses than wins.
It's like 4-1.
Exactly. So
something like that.
It's not looking great, you know. Yeah.
What about Reyes?
Reyes looked alright, you know.
He's going about his business, isn't it?
He's going about his business a bit all quietly, you know, going under the radar. But he's racking up a few wins. I'd say give him a step up in competition. Yeah,
I feel like his next fight is going to be the real test to see if this is just like he's been matched up well against who did he fight last time? Barrio. Yeah. He's a solid fighter, don't get me wrong. Good, get back in the win column, and then Lionheart Smith, who's over the hill. So it's like whoever he gets next, I'm sure will be in the top 10 of the light heavyweight. Do you know they could make Uzdemir's just coming off a loss? Dominic Reyes, Uzdemir.
That's a good fight.
That's
Uzdemir
cracks. He will test that chin.
He'll test his chin.
So if I'm matchmaker, that's
then
not...
again, Uzdemir's got a suspect chin himself, so I reckon it's whoever lands
Nah,
first.
Oldberg landed some nice bangs on him.
Yeah, but he's a suspect guy. I mean, there's fights where he's been knocked out, and you're thinking
Johnny Walker's booked though, innit?
Yeah, Johnny Walker is fighting on the undercard of the Makachev
311.
Yeah, the 311 Makachev.
And what other fight? Oh, okay. So the last fight of the main card, right? Nate Landwehr against Choi. Now, Choi, I mean, I remember Choi against Cub Swanson. It's one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life. Gamer, brawler. When it came down to it, he was always about that action. But the technical scrap that he put forward, that was really, really impressive. And, you know, within like the discussion, they were like, well, maybe he could go have a little run at the top 15 of that division. And Nate Landwehr's beat some good people. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, he wasn't on it yesterday. I've seen Nate Landwehr put in much better performances than that. But at the same time, Choi looked good, man. And in every department, in striking exchanges, even in the grappling, I was like, what's going on? I couldn't believe this. Because he's not known for his grappling. Obviously, Korean Zombie in his corner. And that's a solid win. He's been in the UFC for 8 years, something like that. Obviously, he had service, military service in Korea. So he missed a lot of time, and he's 33 now. So who knows? Maybe he can go for...
It's crazy. Look how young he is. He's been around that long, and he's still young as well.
So he arrived in the UFC at 23.
Wow.
So I think he's 33 now. But he's only had 8-9 fights in the UFC. So if this is a time for him, considering how he looked yesterday, he could crack the top 15. I'm not saying obviously title aspirations, no, like that, probably not. But he could go on a nice little run. Because like I said, Nate Landwehr's fought. Here's Nate Landwehr. Nate Landwehr fought someone like, he's fought some good guys. Onama. He's fought some solid competition. So that was, I mean, he was heavy favorite yesterday. So, you know, that was a solid win. And it was placed on the main card for a reason. But let's move swiftly on a fight. It was very, 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 very important for the 145-pound division.
And a fight that was a lot better than people expected.
Yeah.
People tried to say, oh, but I said this. I said these two are very good fighters. And Movsar, for me, did edge it. People are saying Aljo won, but it wasn't a robbery. Either or, I think...
It wasn't a robbery. It was very close.
But Movsar showed resistance because we always see Aljo take people down, hold them down, take their back.
He was able to do that to Movsar Evloev.
Yeah, but his scrambles were different gravy, Movsar. And Movsar did take Aljo down as well, hold him down. I just think Movsar was a bit more active. When he got him down, he was landing some ground and pound. He was more effective, was trying to win the fight. I think the issue with Aljo is he stalls a lot. He'll take you down and not do much. And that kind of...
But I mean, he nearly...
It cost him the fight.
Yeah.
Because he's so used to being champion, fighting for 5 rounds. This is a 3-round fight.
That could have easily been a 5-round fight, though.
That's the thing. They were mentioning in commentary. I wished more of these fights would be 5 rounds. And the UFC need to make a clear... distinguish.
If it's like a really, do you know what it is?
It's an important fight or between 2 top contenders.
Yeah.
Make it a 5-round.
Do you know what it is? I feel like if it's a fight that could headline a fight night, it should be 5 rounds. Yeah. Movsar Evloev against Aljamain Sterling could headline.
Volkov Gane should have been a 5-rounder.
Yeah, because it could headline. If that was the headline at UFC Paris, like people wouldn't bat an eyelid. Yeah. So, but then again, then you're giving loads of 5-rounders here and there. Like
I'd do it. If they're 2 top contenders, it's better for them to fight 5 rounds because if the winner will obviously fight for the
gain
belt.
Experience as well.
And he or she needs 5 rounds under their belt before they fight for the title. So I think there's nothing wrong with the 5-round rule, let's say, between 2 top contenders. I think the UFC should push for it. Because we're seeing a lot of fights kind of go undecided. A fight they mentioned as well that should have been 5 rounds was the Saruki and Oliveira fight.
Yeah.
They mentioned in commentary where Oliveira was growing into the fight. Imagine there was another 2 rounds. You could say the decision would have been different. So when it's 2 top contenders and Sarukin since winning that fight has gone on to fight, is going to fight for the belt. It's just been announced. We'll speak on that. But yeah, it has to be 5 rounds because it's annoying me when we see 2 top guys fight and you can almost see someone's grown into the fight.
It's like Michael Chandler.
And they don't have enough time.
Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje was 3 rounds. Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler was
All
3
should have
rounds.
been 5 rounds.
Yeah.
All of them should have been 5 rounds.
So what do you think is next for Evloev, and what do you think is next for Aljamain Sterling?
Well, what I think should be next and what will be next are two completely different things. For me, if I was the matchmaker, I'd make Volkanovski fight one of these guys, and I'd let Lopez fight for the belt. But the UFC are not going to do that. Lopez doesn't want to sit around and wait.
I think Evloev.
Well, Evloev will fight anyone.
I think Evloev Lopez #1 contender fight is very viable.
Because Volkan
rematch.
Topuria looks like that will happen. Lopez doesn't want to sit around, and I think it makes sense for Lopez to fight
And get that win back.
Get that win back against a tough opponent.
If they fought tomorrow, who do you think would win?
You know what? It's a tough fight to call, in my opinion. Lopez will probably edge it in terms of my prediction.
I think he would land on Evloev.
But Evloev is a serious guy. He's not some... Evloev's a problem. He's probably one of those underrated fighters on the roster. Undefeated, can scramble like a monster.
Yeah, but his striking wasn't...
His striking's not... It doesn't need to be good because he can grapple. And not just grapple, he can hold you down. Lopez can grapple, but is he the wrestler Mofsar is? Does he have the takedown defense to stop Mofsar? Okay.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't, off his back, will he be a threat to Mofsar?
On short notice, he nearly submitted him.
Yeah.
I think if I'm Lopez and I fight Evloev again, obviously I believe in my jiu-jitsu and whatnot, but I'm trying to crack him. And power advantage, I mean, there's no question. I think Lopez lands on Evloev, and Evloev might do the skanky leg.
A fight for Aljo would be maybe Ortega versus Aljo.
That's
a good fight.
That's a very good fight, actually.
That's a good fight.
And considering how close the fight was yesterday, I don't want to see Aljo have to fight back too much. And Ortega, Aljamain Sterling would be a great fight. Obviously, he didn't look great against Lopez.
It just makes sense, rankings wise. They're both coming.
And you don't want to talk about scrambles. Yeah. You want to talk about jiu-jitsu exchanges.
You can't.
Be very high level.
It's not wise for Aljo to just take him down, and be very careful because this guy right here, Brian, only needs a split second, and the moment he gets you, it's a wrap. He's not like Crone. He's not gonna lie on his back and just be passive. He's gonna go for something. So that's potentially a good fight. And listen, the featherweight division is looking good, looking very, very good. And it's been a while since we've said that. It's been a while. There was a period where it was just Holloway and Volk fighting each other for a few years. It's looking good. There's a lot of top contenders coming through.
Do any of these contenders beat Topuria?
That's a whole different question.
But that's what I'm saying, because you're saying that, but then we might have a dominant champion.
Probably not, but we need Topuria to fight them. I don't want Topuria to go up just yet.
Yeah.
Even less when we could talk about it, Islam versus Sarukian 2's been announced, and the whole press conference, all the questions, most of the questions directed at Makhachev were, will you fight Topuria? Will you fight Topuria?
Yeah.
But firstly, he has to get through Sarukian.
And Charles again.
And there's contenders for him to fight at lightweight. But for me, Topuria has to focus on the contenders at featherweight. He has to fight Topuria. He's going to fight Volk.
I wouldn't even class Volkanovski as a contender, so to speak.
Yeah.
He's been a dominant champion, and he's getting a chance to get his belt back.
Because he's defended the belt so many times. UFC feel like they kind of owe it to him. He also fought Makhachev on a few weeks' notice, or 2 weeks possibly, when the Oliveira fight didn't happen. So he's been a company man. He's fought for the company. He's fought last minute when he was champion.
I'm not saying...
It's like the UFC feel like they owe it to him, but from a competitive perspective, you'd probably say Lopez probably deserves it more. Volk's been out for how long? We've seen him fight Topuria. He got flattened. So it's interesting.
But I'm saying, in terms of Topuria being a true champion, he hasn't fought a contender yet. Yeah. I guess Max Holloway, but that's a former champion, and I get you're getting former champions off your list. But fighting a Mofsar or fighting a Lopez, that's when it's like...
But I'm sure he'd want to fight Mofsar. Just the UFC.
They were meant to fight. They were scheduled to fight.
Or he'd want to fight Lopez. But it's the UFC. Once Dana says something's going to happen, he's got a big ego. He's not going to kind of let that slide. But yeah, listen, it's looking good from a competitor standpoint. From the amount of fighters that are available for the champion to fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, they probably won't lay a glove on Topuria, let's be real.
I don't see Volkanovski laying a glove on Topuria. Someone who turned back the clock yesterday, and majorly disrespected in the bookies, in the odds. Vicente Luque,
how can I even forget about that?
bro,
What a
vintage,
performance.
Das choke.
For me, I didn't think it was that much of a mismatch, but Luque showed us how much of a mismatch it was.
Sometimes you got to turn back the.
That was a nasty
to be honest, I didn't see enough from Garimbo, Themba, to be like, I think he definitely beats Luque. I think Luque's been on.
We just thought Luque was coming off a brain bleed.
But look who he's fought though. He fought Jeff Neal, and then he fought Buckley. These are dangerous guys. I don't put Garimbo anywhere near those guys. And he hurt him with a punch. And I mean,
Predator, the way he wrapped it up.
That Das choke is, bro. He got Michael Chiesa.
He got Woodley with that as well.
You got Woodley with that, yeah. In the Apex, I remember. So that's a dangerous.
He rocked him, grabbed him
just straight
in the Das, finished him off.
He called out Masvidal.
Masvidal's gonna come back.
Miami card.
Yeah, interesting.
Oh, hey, Luque Masvidal is a fight I wouldn't mind watching. If he's actually gonna come back, I don't mind that. Because I don't see Masvidal can't fight someone like elite in that division. No. Imagine Carlos Prates against Masvidal.
He should just call out. Chandler called him out. He said, "I'll come up to welterweight for you." Yeah, if McGregor can come back, McGregor Masvidal, you should fight these kind of guys. Don't fight any
money fights.
Yeah, don't fight people that are close to fighting for the belt because they'll just handle him. He's way past it, Masvidal. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But yeah, good fight, good call out. Happy for Luque.
He's not done yet.
He's not done yet. For a very long time, and he did say post-fight he's not done yet. But I still don't think he'll trouble the top guys.
Nah.
I'll be honest.
Actually, do you know what? Carlos Prates, Luque wouldn't be a bad.
It's a good fight for Prates to see where he's at. It's a good fight for Prates. A guy who at one point was top 5 welterweights. Let's be honest.
That'd be a solid
scrap. For Prates, and it's a good name for Prates to have on his resume if he can win.
I need to see, because obviously,
Prates Masvidal.
That's a murder scene.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that, but then again, for Prates, it'd be good for him as well because he's fighting
exposure.
A guy with the name, a guy who's fought for the belt before.
I just think
a step up in terms of resume, but not in terms of competition because Masvidal, as we said, is way past it.
But you remember when Belal dropped out, they were ready to throw Prates to the against Shavkat. So
they narrate him
highly.
But then Prates, was he not injured?
He broke his foot. He broke his foot. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, take your time out.
But I'm intrigued who they match. It has to be a banger because I'm trying to see Prates test it now. Because I think he's the real deal. But Neil Magny ain't enough of a. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to see him against someone where whoa, if he smacks him up, and then has a cigarette after, then you're like, bro, we're really dealing with a mad guy. Another fight on the card yesterday, Randy Brown, Brian Battle. Battle obviously missed weight by 4 pounds, 5 pounds. Bad look.
For me, it was a close fight.
Yeah, it was a close fight. A lot of cage holding, similar to the Shavkat fight. A lot of clinching. Battle looked stronger in the clinch, and he landed quite a few.
Would you say that's because of the 4 or 5 pounds he was overweight?
Maybe. I mean, that's what the commentary were arguing. And I think the Battle that fought in Paris a couple months back, he was foot on the gas. Output was crazy. It looked like Charles Oliveira, just mad punches. But this one, I don't know. Maybe the weight cut wasn't great. But it was a much slower pace, and he got it done. And Randy Brown's no scrub. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So that's a solid win, regardless.
Yeah. Let's quickly talk on the Weidman-Anders fight.
Yeah.
Probably the last time we see Chris Weidman. And for any new fans who are watching Weidman now saying, this guy's no good, Prime Weidman was a problem. Prime Weidman
knocked out Anderson Silva.
Was a monster. He was a very, very good wrestler. He was, bearing the flag for American fighters. You could say at one point he was probably the best American champion.
Yeah.
At one point. Him and Rocco, that rivalry, and seeing him leave, it's
sad.
A
shame, when you stay too long.
He had a he had a good career. He had a very good
It's
career.
like young MMA fans
Hall
that
of
think
Famer.
Tony Ferguson's always been washed.
These people don't understand. Even Rockhold, people see Rockhold now, they don't remember the monster that Luke Rockhold was. That guy was a monster in his prime. The way his top control, where he'd get you down and hold you down, was immense, and that's how he beat Weidman.
Yeah.
If you look at the fight between him and Weidman, and he had like an infection going into the fight. It was on antibiotics. But
I mean, you got to
Weidman
think
as well,
Weidman.
great career.
Weidman broke his leg, like all of these things. Like
And he's just past it.
he's
Listen,
past it,
He's
yeah.
not the same guy. He's getting older, but doesn't take away from.
But
his
shout
career.
out, great career though.
Very
Obviously,
good career.
great
Very good
career. Joshua Van Durden, solid fight. Chiesa got a submission win against Max Griffin. You know,
Chiesa going strong. Solid guy. I've always said I wanted to see the Chiesa Gunnar Nelson, but we're probably never going to see Gunnar Nelson fight.
yeah. I mean, I remember that
would have been a mad. That's like a very interesting matchup in my opinion.
Yeah, Gunnar Nelson's never fighting again. Chase Hooper against Clay Guida though. Yeah. Chase Hooper's building up. I remember Chase in the UFC, and it looked like how is he in the octagon? Like he looks like I could see him at college.
That's the thing though with a lot of these fighters, like,
they grow in the UFC.
Yeah, but that's a big mistake people make as well. They look at somebody and think, yeah, this no way this guy can fight, but he'd absolutely kill you if you were to bother him, and that's the thing. You should never judge a book by its cover, innit?
I mean, Chase Hooper's jiu-jitsu is solid. He's really good, and obviously he's gone up. He started off at featherweight, and now he's bulked up, and he's at lightweight, and he's just going along with his business nicely. A couple more wins, and who knows? He might be knocking at the top 15. So, and then Kennedy Ensu, I'm gonna butcher his name, but he had a solid win, KO. So, how would you rate the event as a whole?
I think it was a good card.
Solid.
I think it was a very good card. Especially living in London, in the UK, we've got to stay awake. I mean, the main event, what was it, 6 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, standard, man.
So it was rough for us. Like,
I was falling asleep a little bit at the Bryce Mitchell fight. I can't.
I mean, that was a poor performance from Chrome, but it's a case where I don't mind staying awake if the card lives up to the bill. And to be fair, it did. It was a very good card. Knockouts throughout the card, the prelims, the early prelims, the main card. A lot of stoppages, a lot of back and forths. I mean, good card overall. I'd give it
7.5, something like that.
7.5, possibly 8 out of 10. It was a very good card.
So where should we start? Should we start about?
I mean, we should start at the fights that were announced.
312.
Yeah, I mean, they announced the Makhachev-Sarukian rematch to top the bill, with the co-main being Umar Nurmagomedov versus Develashvili.
That is gonna be. Hey, listen, 311 from top to bottom is a movie.
There's a lot of good fights on that card, but I don't even care about the other fights. No. For me, those two fights there are so good. They could have just made the rest of the card mid, and I still would watch it. But it's not mid, obviously.
It's not mid at all. You just fly through the main card. Yeah. Obviously Makhachev, Sarukian, Merab, Umar, Dariush Moicano. Now, I feel like the UFC missed the boat a little bit with that one because...
Paddy.
Yeah, I just think...
Paddy Benoit for London, so not bad.
Hey, that's a... But
I
don't know,
Benoit
bro.
could come in, chip on his shoulder. Everyone's disrespecting him, saying, he's not that good.
I think that would be a very solid win for Paddy if he got that done.
It would, 100%.
But, I mean, I know you don't rate Moicano too much, yeah, but I think Moicano eats him.
Dariush.
He munches him.
Yeah, Dariush is not the same guy.
Yeah, I think that's...
But then again, Dariush's doubt has proven me wrong so many times where I think he's going to lose a fight and he just pulls out the bag. So don't be surprised if Dariush turns back the clock. Don't be surprised.
Early prediction, I think Moicano, he wins convincingly.
Holland versus Ridder as well.
Holland the Ridder, yeah. And you're forgetting Yuri Prohaska, Jamal Hill. Do you know what? Time out.
Let's talk about Jamal Hill.
Oh my gosh, this guy Jamal Hill.
You see the PI nonsense?
I don't like people. You know how I was talking about Ian Garry and like I don't really care for his antics outside the octagon, but Jamal Hill.
He called
it's hard to root for you, bro.
Yeah, bro,
it's hard to root for you because
too much, man.
Pereira,
you're a professional fighter. Stop this street talk, firstly, because you're not. Come on, you're a professional fighter in a professional setting at a PI. You're walking up to
the man who knocked you out.
You're walking up to him like some next guy. You're going up to him, Twitter's not Twitter. The guy just got gloves. Bro, put on some gloves. Let's fight right now.
Shama. Alex Pereira's the man, bro.
No talking. You want to talk crazy? Take these gloves. Let's get in the cage.
But Jamal Hill,
And he didn't want to get in the cage.
Jamal Hill said like, if we're fighting without gloves.
Bro, you know what he did? Really, he bitched him, bro. Let's be real. Yeah. He called his bluff. And he said, "Listen, you're talking all this,
but do you know what it is? It's just like
let's fight right now."
It's just like the inability to accept that Alex Pereira knocked you into
But why didn't he put on the gloves and get in the cage? That's
because he's got a fight booked.
Then why did he go up to Pereira talking crazy?
I don't know. He was probably.
You think Pereira's gonna stand there?
Yeah.
He's lucky he didn't catch a left hook, bro.
Send him flying again.
Yeah,
nah, but Jamal Hill, like I don't know, like I think.
Well, now what if he loses to Prohaska now?
And he could well lose against Yuri because Yuri wants to smoke him. I know Yuri's in the back cave or in the Czech Republic, not eating.
He's always talking about Pereira.
Yuri,
he's always talking about Pereira. He's looking too far ahead.
Bro.
I want to beat Pereira. I want to do this. Don't forget about Yuri Prohaska.
Bro, Yuri, I'm telling you, Yuri's in the back cave, no food, no drink, meditating on how he's gonna try sleep Jamal Hill. And I don't know, like the thing is, when Jamal Hill was going on that run and he knocked out Johnny Walker and like he had that performance in Brazil against Glover Teixeira, I was like, I'm really happy for this guy winning the belt. I'm really happy. But it's just like he's so salty about getting knocked out from Alex Pereira because that was the big moment. It was UFC 300. It was, bro, like, nah, I'm going to knock out Pereira. And boom, he got slept. He keeps holding on to like, Pereira kicked me low and then Herb Dean didn't give me enough. Bro, you got knocked out and like you just can't accept that. And like you said, I feel like he's looking past Yuri Prohaska because Yuri, other than Alex Pereira, you know, he's a bad matchup for a lot of these guys at 205. And Jamal Hill could well just get buzzed on. So if I'm him, I'm worrying
Pereira
about
and focus on the guy that you're fighting because you're fighting a former champion. You're fighting somebody who's just like you held the belt. He's not some scrub. So just get past Prohaska, then look forward.
Because if you
don't look too far ahead.
If Rakic and Jamal Hill fought tomorrow, I think that's a very evenly matched. And you saw what Yuri
even Khalil versus
Khalil.
Jamal Hill.
But that was booked originally, no?
Yeah, and then Khalil. Yeah, you're right. Khalil.
So
but even that fight, looking at Khalil's performance against Pereira, you could say that's a good fight. That's a good back and forth. So Jamal has a lot to handle before he could think about Pereira. Forget Pereira for now, bro.
Yeah, it's just
You got some big fish to fry right now.
Yeah, don't take Yuri lightly. The rest of the card, Johnny Walker again, Bogdan Guskov. Johnny Walker. I mean,
I'll be honest. I don't really know too much of the guy he's fighting.
Yeah,
but I reckon it's just one of those fights.
I think he's ranked though.
It's one of those fights where Johnny Walker, coming off a loss, he needs a win. And they're just putting that kind of favourable matchup. Yeah. I could be proved wrong. The guy could absolutely melt Johnny Walker.
No, I think he could. I think Guskov is good though.
Yeah, but I just haven't seen too much of Guskov.
Peyton Talbot's on the card though. And against Barcelos. Yeah. And that's a step up for him because Barcelos, do you remember Umar knocking him out?
And he's another one you should have stocks on as well.
Peyton Talbot.
Yeah, very, very talented fighter.
He doesn't look like your typical fighter.
Yeah, but forget the antics and just look at him in the cage.
In his skills, he's striking.
He's a menace. Yeah, he is a menace. Talented, he's young. He's got a bright future.
Heavyweight, Almeida Spivak. So that's I'm trying to say, Almeida Spivak. That's run of the mill scrap, innit? Grant Dawson's on the card. Ricky Tours. So that's 311's looking tasty. But I want to talk about 312 because someone asked a question to Dana yesterday in the post-fight press conference, and he was a bit defensive, and he was like, "So how come Hamzat's not getting the shot?" Because when Hamzat beat Whitaker, it was all like, "Damn, like we're gonna have to have this meeting," and then they've reverted back to Strickland. Yeah. And a lot of people are saying Strickland's getting rewarded for waiting. Now, this is a long debate within MMA. Should you be rewarded for just waiting your place when other people are fighting, especially someone with the star power that Hamzat has? And if you asked 100 people, not that the first fight was not entertaining, because the first fight was entertaining, but if you asked 100 people, who'd you rather see? Duplessis Hamzat or Duplessis Strickland? Again, they would want to see Hamzat a challenge for the belt. So you're already taking a hit a little bit in that instance. Strickland can't just jab all nicey. He's going to have to, He's gonna have to get his hands on Duplessis, and I favor Duplessis. I favor Duplessis to get it done again. I think Hamzat is the one.
100%. But I think the UFC are making a big mistake here, not because, not because Strickland doesn't deserve it, but we've seen what happens to Hamzat when he's sitting around too long. He either gets injured or he falls sick.
He just does his own thing.
You made this point a few episodes back where you were like, the UFC need to strike while it's hot. With Hamzat.
Strike it.
Otherwise, something will just happen. He's got bad luck. What if he gets injured now? What if he falls ill again?
You have to keep the momentum going.
When's 312?
February.
If these two have a war, Drakus and Strickland,
You won't see Hamzat.
No, because
he'll fight once
it's
a year.
Ramadan. It's Ramadan in March.
Yeah, so you won't
so
see.
He's not fighting, and you wouldn't expect Drakus or the winner of Drakus Strickland to have a quick turnaround if they have a war, which I'm expecting. You probably say the next time we see the champion fight is maybe MSG. So you're saying Hamzat possibly has to stand around now for up to a year because of circumstances.
He's losing valuable time of his career.
Exactly, and this is a guy. There's evidence when this guy does not have a fight booked, things go.
He goes off the rails.
So I think this is a very stupid mistake from the UFC. When I saw it, I was pretty annoyed, to be honest.
Yeah, Hamzat
Chimaev's coming off a win. You could have easily booked this fight. He absolutely cleaned up with the car, no damage taken whatsoever. Fresh. He could have fought straight away because straight after February you've got Ramadan, and then
you think Dana because you think Dana, Hunter Campbell and all of them were so much on their word that they said even though Hamzat's fit and healthy, even though that's the bigger fight.
That's the biggest problem they've had for so many years with Hamzat. He's never fit, or he's never healthy, or he's injured. All of those things are out the window now. He's fit. He's coming for a win against the former champion. Statement win. He's healthy, no injuries, and you're not booking him to fight. You're booking Strickland, okay. You know, I don't know why they've done that at the UFC, and hopefully it doesn't backfire, but I can only see bad things happening. And it wouldn't surprise me if Hamzat now gets injured or falls ill, or we don't see him for a whole year.
Yeah, and that would be gutting, to be honest.
Me, and it could easily happen.
It could easily happen.
If Drakus or Strickland have a war, where they've gone to war, both have taken damage, we're not seeing the champion defend his belt
for a while.
I'm telling you, until
back end of the year,
until September or MSG. I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
Or we see Hamzat fighting the next Abu Dhabi card or something like that, which is crazy.
Yeah. So it's I think they've I don't know. That's a bit of a shaky decision for the UFC, but when it'll be 312 fight week, be like, damn, Strickland. I'll rewatch the fight. And I'll be like...
still a good fight.
It's still a good fight,
It's still a good fight. Strickland and Drakus.
But it's not quite Hamzat.
It's not quite Hamzat. Because
Hamzat Duplessis...
Hamzat's... he's like a unicorn. Like,
I know a Paulo Costa win is not enough for you to be... To hold your space like that. It's not enough for you to not be able to budge.
And what does Hamzat do now? Does he just sit out? I say Hamzat get a fight in before Ramadan.
Against who though?
I just say, I don't know.
Adesanya?
Get someone. No, Adesanya Emovov's probably happening. So
Borrello?
Just someone. Just stay active. Because when he's not active, it's not good for him.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Hamzat stay active.
Dana Hunter, I don't agree with that. But the co-main event's been announced for that card.
Yeah.
Zhang Weili, one of my favorite fighters, against Tatiana Suarez. Now, like you said when we walked in, Suarez, injuries have halted her career quite a bit.
People forget.
But she is cold.
At one point,
strong. Who did she beat on her comeback?
I'm pretty sure she's beaten most of the girls. But there was a period where people were calling her the female Habib. Where she literally just fights like Habib. She takes you down.
That's wild.
She does that thing that Habib does with the two legs. Like she crosses her legs over your legs and batters you. So listen, I'm gonna say it now.
Just go on.
I think Tatiana handles Zhang Weili. I think she handles her.
Nah, I'm not gonna say that.
No, that's me. I think Tatiana's a special fighter.
I can't get on board with that.
For me, injuries have held her back. But if she had gone injury free, I think she would have had her belt by now. Injuries have stopped her.
Do you not think you're being a bit disrespectful to Zhang Weili right now?
I just rate Tatiana so much. It's not me being disrespectful to Zhang Weili. It's just Tatiana Suarez. People forget. But just go and look at her run before she was injured.
No, I know.
She was a menace.
Brasso,
And it's the way she was beating them.
Esparza.
She batters people, bro.
Yeah, no, she's scary, but and you got to think like Zhang Weili. What is this at? What is this bantamweight for women? No, she's a bit undersized a little bit, but I feel like she can definitely land some solid bangs.
But Tatiana's not playing that striking game. She is not playing no striking nonsense. She's shooting a double straight away, holding you down and battering you. She's not passive as well once she gets you down. So this is you could say it's a tough matchup for both. But for me,
there's ways to win for both.
Yeah, it's definitely Weili's toughest test.
Yang Xiaonan, Amanda Lemos, Esparza, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, her last 4 fights and they've 2 finishes, 2 decisions. And Yang Xiaonan's not a joke. Can't lie, she's cold. So that's been announced. I'm intrigued because to be honest, like obviously we've spoken about who's gonna headline 312, and like obviously it's gone for non-Australian or New Zealand fighters, right, with Duplessis and Strickland. But like you said, when is Topuria gonna come back? Because we were like maybe they do a Volkanovski Lopez for the interim or something like that, or Adesanya's.
Did you not say it's for UFC Sydney possibly? Volkan Ilya.
This is UFC Sydney. UFC 312 Sydney.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like, if they've announced the main event already, then...
No. I'm saying... So, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the first 2 fights are set. So, you ain't going to get a Lopez, Volkanovski under that. Yeah. Or you ain't going to get Topuria there either. So...
Yeah, that's kind of... That's a bit weird. Like, you'd reckon... You would have thought they would have probably announced Izzy versus Imavov.
I think that's going to be... I think that's going to headline a Saudi Arabia card. Yeah. I think that was what the rumors were. And
there's also one thing as well I was thinking about, yeah. Have you clocked the UFC just keep going to the same places again and again?
Well, they're not. They're
no,
going...
Do you remember back in the day, though, where they would go to, like, Stockholm, they'd go to Finland, they go everywhere.
Yeah, COVID's messed up.
Hamburg in Germany, they go Copenhagen.
But I think they're starting. I think they're starting to do that though. They're going to Seattle. Yeah. They're gonna have a pay-per-view in Chicago.
Because it's good to see the sport spread to different states.
But they're gonna go to Spain this year.
Hopefully they do.
I mean,
I remember they used to do these European cards all over.
Yeah. Especially
McGregor made his debut in Stockholm.
Yeah.
People forget that.
Yeah. Especially the cards. Yeah, like you said, Stockholm, Sweden was a very big market.
I don't think they can go back to Russia right now. Yeah. But even the Russian cards were good.
Yeah, Moscow would be...
Fight nights, they could put pay-per-views there. I just want to see the UFC move outside of just the US. And even the UFs. Back in the day, they go everywhere. Do you know what I mean? It's like nowadays, it's more...
Well, I mean, they haven't been to LA.
Yeah, in a while. I mean, I don't think they've ever been to
They
LA.
always go to Anaheim.
Yeah, Anaheim, but not LA. Yeah.
And now, because it's the LA Clippers' arena. So apparently it's going to be crazy.
Mad.
LA for a pay-per-view. Yeah, all the celebs going to be there. Quickly before we end, next week, next weekend we got Colby Covington, Buckley. Quick prediction before we end this.
So, you know what? Colby gets a lot of stick, but I think he's going to turn back the clock this fight.
Is it?
It's a 5-round fight. Buckley, we know what he's going to do. Can crack. He's got decent grappling, but not on the level of Colby Covington. I reckon Colby just pressures him, avoids the power punches from Buckley, and just grows as the fight goes on. He's got experience fighting 5 rounds. Have we really seen Buckley go 5 rounds many times?
Do you know what?
No, not too many times. So I reckon Colby will outlast him, pressure him, and win a decision.
Do you know what? I'm not normally one for the bold takes, but Buckley's going to land on Colby.
And knock him out.
TKO finish.
Early or late, would you say?
Second round.
Early knockout. We've never seen Buckley.
Bruh, I'm telling you, the Colby that I saw against Leon Edwards, I don't know. And it's not, I don't rate Buckley like super highly like that. But how he jumped into that punch against Wonderboy, I just think he's just going to try everything to land on Colby.
Think he can stop Colby's takedowns.
I don't think Colby...
Even though Colby couldn't take Leon down, but Leon does have very good takedown defense.
Yeah, but he wasn't even attempting takedowns like that. So, I don't know. I feel like Buckley... Maybe I'm going overboard, but he's definitely got he's got something there to play with where I think He'll hurt Colby. Guaranteed. He's gonna land a big punch on Colby.
And if Buckley wins, is that a title shot?
No. He needs another fight.
Ian Garry?
Possibly, because that was already booked. I mean, I don't know what's happening with Jack Della Maddalena, Usman at the top of the matchmaking, welterweight division. Let's get it on. And also, I want my boy Prates booked. Yeah. UFC, Hunter Campbell.
Speaking of matchmaking, there's rumours Jones defends his belt International Fight Week. Rumours.
Get it done.
Just scrolling through Twitter.
Signed.
We're seeing the rumours.
Tom Aspinall, Jones, International Fight Week. Get it done. That's it for this week's episode. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Like I said at the beginning of the video, make sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram. We're posting all the clips from our podcast. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure to download the episode. It helps us a lot. Peace out. See you lots later.